I'm going to present the presentation for the last speaker, Tamron Frank, who cannot make it for the meeting. And hopefully I'll be able to find this.
Frank from the University of the Western Cape in South Africa, and I am presenting some research on food industry expenditure on television marketing in Sub-Saharan Africa. As we all know, there is an excessive consumption of unhealthy foods high in sugar, salt, and saturated fat that we are seeing a proliferation of, particularly in Sub-Saharan Africa, and that is leading to increased levels of obesity and non-communicable diseases. This is largely driven by the for-profit ultra-processed food and beverage industry, who make use of various marketing techniques such as television marketing in order to promote and sell their sales to drive up consumption, which of course in turn leads to increased profits for their companies. And TV marketing is one of the most influential forms of marketing that they use. We have unfortunately seen very, very rapid increases and expected ongoing increases in obesity in Sub-Saharan Africa. In the 9 countries in the study, we see that there's an expected increase year on year in both adult and childhood obesity levels in all the countries, which is quite alarming, particularly when we think about the non-communicable diseases that these obesity rates are linked to. And these estimations are based on the World Obesity Federation estimations. So the study objective of this study was to look at the extent of television marketing of food and beverage companies in Sub-Saharan Africa. We made use of secondary data that we've obtained from an advertising broadcast monitoring company that records and examines all adverts that are both on free and paid television stations across Africa. Currently, we've included 9 countries, Sub-Saharan Africa countries, being Angola, Ethiopia, Ghana, Kenya, Namibia, Nigeria, Tanzania, Zambia, and Zimbabwe. We will also be adding a 10th country, South Africa, to our final results. And we've made use of data over a 4-year period from 2019 up until and including 2022. Please note that the results I'm sharing with you are very much a work in progress. These are preliminary results. And so, of course, we will welcome any feedback in terms of improvements as we go along. The stations that have been included in this include all free television stations as well as paid for television stations that are covered under MultiChoice. MultiChoice is the largest paid broadcaster in Africa, and then the other one is Canal Plus. We have not included Canal Plus, but fortunately it is the smaller broadcaster in most of the countries that we have included in the study. Going on to the results, if we look at the spend on marketing, and this is in US million dollars, over the 4-year period, so we've included all 4 years together. The first dark bar is the total, the blue bar is non-alcoholic beverages, the red bar is food, and the light grey bar is alcoholic beverages. What we see is that Kenya is the largest spend on television marketing at over 180 million US dollars over the 4-year period, followed by Ghana and Zambia. And then Tanzania, Namibia, and Zimbabwe are the smallest spend on television marketing. In total, across all of the countries over the 4-year period, more than 350 million US dollars has been spent on television marketing by the food and beverage industry. And this only includes what they're paying for their adverts to be aired. This does not take into account how much it takes to develop and produce the adverts, which we know is quite expensive. It doesn't take into account any other form of marketing. This is only the money that is being spent for the airing of TV adverts. And so I think, this is quite alarming if we think about just what the socioeconomic situation looks like in all of these countries and how far 350 million US dollars could go in other areas. The Overall, advertisers that were spending the largest amount and having the most number of adverts for non-alcoholic beverages were Trade King Group, followed by Coca-Cola and Nestle. For food items, it was also Trade King Groups, followed by Unilever and Dufil. For alcoholic beverages, it was Diageo, followed by Don Copitas, and then AB InBev. We did look at each country individually. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of time to go through this, but just the first on the left-hand side shows you the brand that was most frequently advertised, and then the bar that is the highest shows the brand that had the highest spend in dollars. So in Angola, Tiagra was most frequently advertised, and Amstel was spending the most money on their adverts. Of course, depending on what time of day and what television show the advert is placed in, the spend on advertising differs from show to show. In Ethiopia, it was Pepsi for both. In Ghana, it was Milo for both. In Kenya, Coca-Cola for both. The same for Namibia with Coca-Cola. In Nigeria, it was Milo. In Tanzania, it was Serengeti beer, which is an alcoholic beverage. And then in Zambia, we see Dairy Gold being most frequently advertised, but Vatra spending the most on their marketing on television. In Zimbabwe, it was Coca-Cola for both. And this slide just shows which TV program in each country one found the most amount of food and beverage advertisements during the break times in. So that, of course, differs from country to country. The study does have some limitations. We, in terms of paid television, did not include the Canal Plus television programs. We've made use of secondary data, which, as we all know, has some limitations of its own, and we haven't assessed the content of each individual advert. We are busy with a study on this in South Africa, and if there are any people interested from any of the countries that we mentioned in a more in-depth analysis within your country of the data, please do reach out to us. We certainly would be interested in collaborating on further analysis of this data. In conclusion, I think we can say that TV marketing of unhealthy foods and beverages and alcoholic beverages is prolific in Sub-Saharan Africa, and that the food and beverage industry is spending a large amount of money marketing their products, and that we urgently need policies that will protect the population against the pervasive marketing of the for-profit food industry. Better marketing regulations in all of these countries are certainly ideal. Of course, the study wouldn't have been possible without the support of my co-authors on the study, Lisa Dice, Alice Khan, and Rena Swart, and funding from Bloomberg Philanthropies. Thank you so much for your time, and please feel free to reach out should you have any questions. Thanks.
There you go, colleagues. We only have 2 seconds left.